Hello, and welcome to an episode of the Chevalier Sisters. However, it's just me today because Elle and I are doing separate video recaps. I wish I could detach this mic, but I can't, so. Separate video recaps of everything we've read this year, and you can check out hers at the end of this video or up here. Meanwhile, I will be getting ready. It's like a get ready with me for this YouTube video, but the whole YouTube video will be me getting ready for the YouTube video. Okay, so thankfully I've written down all the books I've read on this handy-dandy sheet of paper, my chair to sit in, which was literally carved by my dad before I was born, so it fits me perfectly. It's not that I don't know that you should put on clothes first, it's just that I feel like I need to address my hair. First book I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper. Now, Stalking Jack the Ripper, you've probably seen it around on Pinterest, Instagram, book lists. It's presented by James Patterson, so obviously it's well distributed. And I was really looking forward to the vibes. I was looking forward to all the little stalkerish, murdering Victorian details. And also, the main character is what is it called? An autopsy person. I'll remember what that is later. Anyway, she's a doctor of some kind. So, that's super cool. It's a very fun angle to approach the classic mystery from. And I thought I would really enjoy that, and I did at some points. I'd say overall I'd give it a 3. However, at the time I was really enjoying it because I was doing a tough sewing project. I didn't love... Sometimes I found the main character, Audrey Rose, to be annoying. And I say Audrey because I read it as an audiobook, and the audiobook reader was British, so she said Audrey Rose, and Cresswell, so I say Audrey Rose and Cresswell. The mystery was also not super mysterious. It was a much more active mystery, meaning, like, it's happening while they're trying to figure it out because it's a stalker serial killer mystery. Gore descriptions are kind of, like... in depth, so if that bothers you, I'd say maybe skip them. But other than that, it's really not that bad. And I would say a lot of plot lines weren't finished. However, I was still super excited to go into the next one, which was Hunting Prince Dracula, which I desperately wanted and did not get. I had to wait on a waiting list for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. Hunting Prince Dracula was actually even worse than Stalking Jack the Ripper. I'd say I'd give it a 2 out of 5, maybe a 3. 3 for enjoyment. I definitely enjoyed parts of it. I also got really annoyed at some parts of it. So overall, I'd say, looking back, it was definitely a 2. She had a lot of elements there that she could have used, but honestly barely touched on hardly any of them. And then I started reading the third book, and then this one plot idea got introduced, and I couldn't handle it anymore. So I stopped reading. And instead, I went on to Tempest of Tea, which is the third book I read this year. Tempest of Tea is a really interesting book. If you have never read Tempest of Tea, then I guess, how would I describe it? It's a heist with tea in a place that's so very familiar. It's kind of like Victorian London, but different, because, you know, it's a different world. The author is Hafsah Faizal. So, if you've read her book, We Hunt the Flame, it's set technically in the same world as We Hunt the Flame, but different countries. Actually, one of the characters, Laith, is from Australia. Tempest of Tea is a fun ride. We did a book tea, spoilers included on it, so if you want to get really into, like, deep plot stuff, then go look at that. That'll be up here. And I'm really not getting ready. I'm just talking in front of a mirror, which is kind of pointless, so I should work more. For now, we're just going to leave it like that and work on something else. Okay, not going to lie, it usually takes me too long to get dressed for YouTube videos, so it's nice that I don't have to wait to get ready for this YouTube video. No, it's nice that I can just do them at the same time. Tempest of Tea has like a host of characters, so it's a little bit similar to Six of Crows, in that it has a bunch of people with different backgrounds and ethnicities and jobs all come together to perform a heist. And don't we love a heist book? Now, the heist aspect of this book was not as fulfilling as I wish it were. It's not as complicated, not as dangerous as Six of Crows. But the book brings up a lot of cool things to talk about with other people, so I would say it makes a really good book club book. At times, the romantic arc was a little bit disappointing to me, not gonna lie. One of the other one was quite fun, and I'm looking forward to how it continues in Steeping of Blood, which is coming out late this year, next year. Guys, isn't this dress so pretty? I love it so much. Now, the next book on my list is We Hunt the Flame. I actually enjoyed it. Same author as Tempest of Tea, Hafsah Faizal, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more than Tempest of Tea. We're not in London no more. We're in a fun fantasy world that feels a lot like Assassin's Creed, and I actually recognized this pretty early on because I play Assassin's Creed, AC1 specifically. She was inspired by AC1, Assassin's Creed 1, and she actually names one of the characters Altair, which I just think is really fun. So this one is like magic and fantasy and kingdoms and, old hags that are vaguely suspicious and you don't know if you should trust them, even though, not gonna lie, I did figure out a lot of the twists before they happened. There are quite a few rants in the story, so line-wise it gets a tiny bit repetitive. So that would be one of my critiques. Overall, I would say it's enjoyable, but a little bit more dense. So if you're into light read, this one's not the one for you. Oh, and one of my best memories is while listening to that book, I was actually working on my pirate shirt, which is something of a failed experiment. But it was also an experiment, so maybe it's not failed at all. I just learned. That's kind of cool. And I was finishing up the climax. Way too late. I shouldn't have been staying up that late sewing and reading, but teenagers, man. I don't know how I got so mixed up. And for our next book, the award goes to The Ballad of Songbird. No, sorry. Once Upon a Broken Heart. So yes, I read all three of the Once Upon a Broken Heart books fairly quickly because Ella likes to binge read and binge watch. And I read it with her. So, we went through that very quickly. Finished all three books, within a month, I think. It's a fun ride, fun experience. I've already read Carval, deeply love Carval. I read it when I was 12, so it has a very special place in my heart. However, the main character, male character, was not my favorite when I was 12 or when I was 14. I did start to like him a little bit more when I was 19 because I read the Carval series 3 times. So I wasn't exactly sure how to feel going into this series. One thing I was excited about was getting into Jax's head, but it's not from Jax's POV most of the series. It's from Evangeline's POV. So it took me a minute to get adjusted, but then once I did, the story is magical. It's full of wonder, fairy tales, this sense of excitement that's under everything, including the danger and all of this. So Stephanie Garber's line work is very interesting. Some people really enjoy it, some people probably won't. Parts of it are a little bit overwrought, but in general, sometimes she just hits the nail on the hits the nail on the head. Her concepts are usually so good, and this book did not disappoint in that way. There was a twist that I didn't see that affects Carval. So if you have enjoyed the Carval series, you're like, oh man, do I read Once Upon a Broken Heart? I'd say yes, because there are some fun secrets that you still don't know about the world of Carval, which is one reason why I love it so much. And for our next book, we have The Stolen Heir. Now, Stolen Heir is a continuation of Holly Black's series, The Cruel Prince. So actually, it's funny that I read Once Upon a Broken Heart and Stolen Heir back to back because they're both offshoots of a bigger, more famous series. So interesting. Stolen Heir, I read it pretty quickly. I was enjoying it. It was very entertaining. I was a little sad that I wasn't getting Oak's perspective because, again, I missed Carden's perspective in the Cruel Prince series, even though it's called The Cruel Prince and then it's called The Wicked King. We never actually get Carden's POV, which I kind of missed. Ren was obviously a really interesting character set up in Cruel Prince. So I was excited to get inside her head and see where she was, going to go in the future. And obviously it was fun to get cameos of our favorite characters from Cruel Prince, the original series. Overall, it didn't. I enjoyed the first book. The first book was pretty solid. It's fun. I enjoy. Holly Black does a good job of like painting scenarios really well, and then also environments. So she did this obviously super well. And I really enjoyed seeing how Oak grew up, and it was actually somewhat less interesting. How Ella describes it, I really enjoyed the way she describes it. So she was like, it's actually less interesting inside of Oak's head. And I think that's kind of true, unfortunately. In general, I would say Stolen Heir was solid, like 3 to 4 out of 5. 3 or 4 out of 5. So, yeah. I read almost all of Prisoner's Throne. It almost made it onto this list, but I honestly was so bored by the end. I was literally at the climax. And it returned because I had waited so long to read it. And I got it again, but it just sat there because I wasn't motivated enough to read it. So if I don't love a book, I don't keep reading it. Or if I'm not enjoying a book, I don't keep reading it. And I honestly just wasn't enjoying it enough to keep reading it. So I don't know. I'm not technically on my summer reading list, but I would have given it like a 2 out of 5. Okay, so now we're back over here. Now, Shatter Me series. I have been curious about the Shatter Me series for a long time because I've seen it in book lists everywhere. I've been checking book lists since I was 10, 12. No, 12. Definitely 12. So it's always been there, so I've always been rather curious about it. So when it finally came time for me to read it, aka I just figured I was old enough now, and my curiosity got to a point where I, wanted to read it so bad, I just borrowed it from the library. And actually, I got the second book first, so I got Unravel Me first, which means I accidentally started reading Unravel Me, even though I know Shatter Me comes first. I've known that for so long. I started reading Unravel Me first, which, gotta be honest, is actually pretty cool. If you ever accidentally start the Shatter Me series on book 2, it's not a waste. It's actually kind of fun. My mom, who was reading it with me, actually found starting with Unravel Me and then going back to Shatter Me even more enjoyable. Now, okay, whew. Picture this. It's a dystopian world where a harsh regime has taken over. People are in poverty. The world is in chaos. Not really, it's like the organized chaos when terrible people are ruling the government with an iron fist and, food is scarce, weather's weird, world's been destroyed. It's like Mistborn, but dystopian a little bit. And not like, he's not pretending to be a king, it's pretending to be a regime. Well, it is a regime. So our main character, Juliet Ferrars, finds herself in something quite akin to a prison, which is honestly a really cool way to start the book. It's like the beginning of Seraphina book 3. So that's a cool beginning. I'm not going to tell you what it is because literally at the back of the book, he asks people specifically not to spoil what the beginning setting is, but go read it. And very quickly, we are introduced to her love interest. Now, I could go on a whole rant, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say that I had problems with the romance early on, and then as it became more interesting, I had different problems. It's a super internal series, which is honestly fairly unique. I'd say it's a very unique book in that I've so rarely ever read a book that's like Shatter Me. It's hard to comp it to anything else. The line work is also very creative. It's kind of like Stephanie Garber and Night Circus. It's kind of in that world where Night Circus has all these super visual words, and probably taking way too long to do this, and I should just focus. The line work is super interesting and original, and even if you don't like it, I think it's good as a writer to listen to so many different types of line work and get inspired, because she does like some really creative things. Sometimes I don't think it lands. Like, there was this line I wrote down that was, "He was as wrong as upside down rainbows," and for me that line just did not land. However, I think she does do some cool stuff, like really, really beautiful, cool things sometimes. And how deep she gets into the character's head is honestly really impressive. I would just say Juliet's head is sometimes a little bit stifling, repetitive. There's honestly not that much plot that goes on, like plot points. There aren't that many of them. It's super internal. Now, with book 2, it was interesting. I kind of have a problem with Juliet as a character on a few different levels. So those kind of kept getting in the way, and then as I got into book 3, I was told I was really going to enjoy book 3. But to be honest, I didn't. There were parts of it that I definitely enjoyed, for sure. It's probably the spiciest book on my list. So if you are like interested in reading it, just know book 3 has like most amount of spice that out of the series so far. So you can skip over it. It's not that hard, and it's not, again, because it's such an internal book, it's interesting because it's a little bit deeper than I'd say most YA. It's like motivated by, the character goes on a fairly deep journey. I was impressed by some of the things I thought were really annoying early on in the series are addressed later on, and it's like, oh yeah, that was a mistake, and I realized that now, and I was like, okay, that's cool. At the end of book 3, I hated, gotta be honest. I think it's probably because I watched too many episodes of Burn Notice, and I feel like I know how to run a breaking and entering / lots of kinds of different spy situations. So if you too want to be able to, you should probably go watch Burn Notice. Guys, I am doing this video all by myself, which means I get to wear the flower crown. I don't know if you watched our Six of Crows spoilers included, but Ella did not want me to wear the flower crown.
Aubin's crown,
guys,
has to go.
It doesn't have to go.
It will go.
You'd have to come over here, come across the table, and take it from me. And now she's not here. So never mind. Whatever hairstyle I'm doing is gonna incorporate this flower crown. What's my next book? Yes, it's Mystery Royale. Okay, so I picked up Mystery Royale randomly at the library, which I usually don't do, and I had no context for Mystery Royale. I had never heard of it, never seen it on any book lists, hadn't seen it around, and I just don't, that just doesn't usually happen because I usually know a bunch of the main popular books. Here's the cover. So cover art took me first. I was like, oh, that's cool. This looks like something that would be up my alley. And then proceeded to read the back, and I was like, okay, it sounds like Inheritance games. And I didn't love Inheritance games, but not because I didn't like the premise. I liked the premise of Inheritance games. I just didn't like the way it was carried out. So I took it home, started reading it. It's very intriguing. I would say it didn't like have me completely hooked by the beginning. Oh, wait, I forgot. It has a prologue, and the prologue is very interesting, kind of fun. Reminds me a little bit of my prologue in that it's like, this is weird. Does this matter? Is this real? But I like prologues like that, so I enjoyed it. Getting into the story was really fun. It's like Inheritance games in that somebody rich has died, and he randomly invited 2 strangers to this family game to win his inheritance, but there's also magic involved, which at first I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't know how this is going to play out, but it's so cool. The different kinds of magic, everyone's reactions to magic, also how magic is passed down is like a big deal. And I thought that was some fun world building. Guys, I'm accidentally doing kind of something like an Edwardian thing. Plot was interesting. It definitely moves quickly. You're never like bored, and especially it has multi-POV storytelling style, so there might be like characters you don't like as much. I definitely had characters I did not like as much, but I honestly came to enjoy their point of view, like respect the way they thought. Oh man, I should have put on the glasses with my trench coat. That would have been really cool. At first I was like, I don't know if they're gonna do a romantic arc because everyone's got their flaws, and books sometimes underwrite people's flaws, and this book definitely doesn't underwrite people's flaws. So I was like, I guess, but I was wrong. And I enjoy being wrong. I actually really, really enjoyed the romantic arc. I liked it more than Inheritance Games. So if you have read Inheritance Games and enjoyed the thrillingness of it, wanted a little bit more character depth and journey, then I'd say read Mystery Royale. Really, really enjoyed it. I bought this. I borrowed it from the library, then I went and bought it. And actually, okay, hold on. So, as soon as I got to the end of Mystery Royale, I closed it and was like, I need another one. And there was no news of another one. But, after I bought it, I realized you can actually go find this in the bloopers of our video last week, creating immersive worlds. I found... See that? That is a 1, meaning I'm going to get a book 2. I don't know if you guys are going to get a book 2, but I'm going to get a book 2, and yes, I'm so excited about it. So, yes, alright. Okay, Mystery Royale, Powerless. Okay, I realized that my angle was pretty bad. Sorry about that. But here's the hair. Yeah. This is giving me Emily Wilde vibes, guys. And Emily Wilde is conveniently one of the books we're also going to talk about. So yeah. I've never actually been able to really get this Edwardian hairstyle. I know it's drooping a little bit in the back here. But that's because I'm using a plastic flower crown. So I don't have any pins in my hair. So this is probably going to melt real fast. So, next book is Powerless by Lauren Roberts, I believe. Now, Powerless is a fun little fantasy journey. This one I had put on hold on Libby because I saw cool fan art of it and was like, this looks fun. And then barely read premise at all, had no idea what I was getting into, just started listening to it on Libby when it came like months later. And was not disappointed for a fun little journey. It's not super like deep, widespread, or philosophical, but it is fun. I would say at some points the flirting gets a little bit repetitive, so that got a little bit annoying. And a few of the characters were drawn really, really poorly. But the main 2 characters had interesting depth, and definitely different parts of their character got explored throughout. So that was interesting. It has Hunger Games-ish aspects of it at points, so if that intrigues you, then this would be a good read. I'd say like 4 out of 5 for enjoyableness, except for parts. There was definitely at the end, there's this one fight between this one character and another character, and I was like, ugh. But anyway, and my last book I finished today. I finished like right before filming this YouTube video, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries. And at first I was not sold on this book, not gonna lie. The older scholar protagonist who is on a research trip, who was very businessy, was interesting but not like captivating. I don't know. I wasn't hooked immediately, but as the story went on, it just got better and better. The entire book, I'd say, improved it, and by the end I was so happy. I was so jazzed. It was such a fun, cute little read. It's not stressful in any way. I feel like some books are a little bit more taxing on me emotionally, but this one is interesting without being emotionally taxing, and there's still plenty of danger and plot elements to it. That was another reason I didn't love the beginning. There wasn't as much of a plot element. It was like a lot of plot opportunities, but the plot didn't get established until later on. And honestly, the plot was not a straight line. It's like kind of meandering, very much like in real life, how not everything is all part of the same storyline. Or like one goal, which I found really, really interesting. It's definitely another one of those creative original books that's very set apart from general YA. I'd say this is probably the most different book I read from like most stuff out there right now, which might be why it got so popular so quickly. Also, the two protagonists are funny. There are some times when I get very annoyed with them, but that's okay, because they're sweet and I love them anyway. Well, that's basically it, but I am going to show you my bookshelf, which I cleaned while listening to Powerless. Actually, it was kind of late at night and I was listening to Powerless, and I was fixing up this bookshelf, which was smattered with a bunch of random stuff and books, all out of order. So I organized it, and I'm really proud of how I organized it, because I think it's really beautiful. So I've got manga sprinkled throughout, so manga, mostly in Japanese. These two are French, and this one's Japanese. These two are French. This is English. I guess you could tell that. These are my diaries, not all of them. I had to put a bunch of them in drawers, but these are the ones that go aesthetically together, and they're all in chronological order. So I got my Japanese textbooks, I got more Japanese textbooks, and Emily Wilde, more notebooks. My favorite childhood series, Mysterious Benedict Society. Oh, also, honorable mentions for books I've read this year. This is my manuscript for my book that's coming out this year. This is actually only a third of it, but it's double-spaced and on one-sided paper, or printed one-sided, so it's probably going to be much thinner than this. But I read this, about 8 million times. And I've also read Hearts and Stones a bunch of times, a lot of times, so many times, because I'm editing Hearts and Stones. Speaking of that, my sister made a video just like this one, but, with her flair, and you can watch that video. It'll be linked at the end of this one. And we usually do videos together talking about how to write your novel and playing book games. So if you're looking for humor or education, we have that. We post every Friday, and our books are coming out this summer/fall, and we will be at Once Upon a Con in August, and that's a fantasy ball/convention, which is going to be a blast. Can't wait to see you guys there. Bye for now. Is that better? Is that worse? I don't know, man. I've never done this before. Let's see if I can hide myself with Conan. No! Conan, don't expose me like that. Yes, it works. Yeah. What was I saying? Let's just put Conan there. It's hold on. Conan, then baby poster Conan. Ah ha ha! And with that, I have officially gotten ready for my YouTube video, which I just finished. So, I don't know what to do now. Guess I'm gonna look super fancy while I go and edit this.